Hello and welcome to part 3 of the UGC Creator video series here on my channel. Today I'll be giving you a bunch of useful advice that you need to know if you're just getting started with UGC. We have a lot to cover, so let's just jump straight into it. If any of this advice helps you at any moment, please be sure to give this video a big fat like. So yeah, grab a pencil or a pen, a cup of tea. We've got a lot to get through. Also, my outfit is giving major 80s vibes, and I'm digging it. Okay, let's get started. So the first piece of advice, and this is super critical, is don't rush. Don't wing it. UGC and content creation in general is not a get-rich-quick process. It's not as easy as people on TikTok may make it seem. It can be really tempting to do a really rushed job on your portfolio and on your sample videos and to just apply to a bunch of jobs. But especially when you're starting out and you don't have loads of experience under your belt, brands will notice if you're doing a rushed job. And with all of the competition out there, like, you want to make yourself stand out. You want to make sure your work represents you in the best way possible. And the best thing you can do is research, research, research. And TikTok and YouTube is a great free resource for that. Study other people's portfolios, study other people's TikTok videos and UGC content. Take note of what they're doing super well. What is captivating you about their video? What could they do better? And, combine all those notes and make your own videos. Now, with that said, the next piece of advice on this list is it's okay to feel lost. The entire time I was building my UGC portfolio, I was filled with so much self-doubt. I was like, is this okay? Am I doing this right? And I just want to say that that is so totally normal. This is a new thing that you're trying out for the first time. You're not an expert at it. So of course, you're in unfamiliar territory, and that comes with feeling kind of lost all the time, not being sure if it'll go anywhere. Social media is constantly evolving and changing, and it's a lot to keep up with. And becoming a UGC creator, you're essentially becoming a freelancer. You're running your own business. I've never done freelance work before, so I had no idea what it entailed. How do you write a contract? How do you get payments? How do you make a website? This is all stuff that I kind of had to learn on the go. And you can do a ton of research, which you should do, like I just said in my first point, but no amount of research can really prepare you for just jumping in and doing it. And you're probably going to make mistakes along the way. And that's super important because you'll learn from those mistakes. Maybe a client doesn't like the work you made, or you'll get ghosted. All these things are a learning experience, and that's how you improve your skills ultimately. And also just remember that you're not performing open heart surgery. You're not landing a plane. You're literally filming content on the internet. The next thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes into freelancing, and a lot of unpaid work. For example, I had an email chain of like 50 emails back and forth with a sponsor on this channel. So there was a lot of negotiating, a lot of chatting until, I actually filmed like a 2-minute snippet for a video. Are you up for the not so glamorous side of, a creative endeavor such as content creation? Because no matter how fun a job is, there is actually a ton of behind the scenes work that is not so fun. You may also be sitting in some unpaid meetings to discuss the content. You may be spending weeks waiting for a package to arrive. Lastly, a brand may ask for edits, so that's extra time that you have to put into it. So keep all of that in mind, and that actually leads me to my next point. Calculate your worth. What I mean by that is, are you willing to do gifted collaborations when just starting out? Or, if it's a paid collaboration, how much are you willing to charge for your time and your work? This part is a bit complex, and it can really vary from brand to brand and their budget. And it varies from creator to creator as well. But it's good to have a rough dollar amount in your head. There may be some negotiations that go on, and what's the minimum you'll be willing to work for? And an easy way to come up with this is just calculate how many hours do you think will go into a project. If you take into account filming, editing, obviously waiting for the package to arrive, all of the behind the scenes stuff that I just mentioned, and come up with that dollar amount. It's okay to take inspiration from what other creators are charging just to get a feel of the market, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to you. And that actually is a good segue to my next piece of advice. And this is really a good piece of advice for anyone starting any kind of business, and that is, do not compare your journey to anyone else's. It can be really easy to fall into this trap. I've been guilty of this myself, and it's such a toxic rabbit hole to go down. With this YouTube channel, for example, comparing my growth to other creators' growth, none of that matters. It is super mentally draining, and it is such a waste of time and energy. Time is money, so why waste your time on useless thoughts when you could just be focused on your own personal journey and take pride in your own personal wins, no matter how small they are. Like, you worked with your first client this month? That's a huge win. You finished building your portfolio? That's great. Like, 99% of people out there will not have the motivation to even start their portfolio. So, Okay, next, never pay shipping for a product that's getting sent to you for UGC. That is an absolute scam, okay? Whether it's a gifted collab or you're getting paid for it, it doesn't matter. You should never have to pay shipping for the product. The brand should always be responsible for that. Otherwise, it's like you're basically paying for the product. Like, you might as well go on Amazon and buy the product yourself. Like, you're doing work for them, whether it's free work or paid work, like, the least they can do is pay shipping. And honestly, if they're not willing to pay shipping, they kind of sound like a sketchy brand anyway, so maybe don't work with them. Okay, next, always send your completed work over with a custom watermark on top. Here's an example. As you can see, my watermark is plastered on top of the video. Now, in an ideal world, every brand that you work with will be fair and respectful of the contract, but you never know when you'll run into a shady brand. And if you give them your work without a watermark, they might go ahead and use that video without paying you. And you don't want that to happen. So that's really the easiest thing you can do, is just send over your sample of the video with the watermark on top, get them to approve of it first, and send you the payment. Once the payment is sent, you can then send them the original video file for them to use. Of course, if you've already established a relationship with that brand that you trust, maybe this process will change for you, but especially when you're working with someone new, always do that. Another thing you can do if you're working on like a big project where the brand is asking for like 5 videos, like a batch, you can ask for a deposit up front so that you can kind of see that they're capable of paying you, and you kind of have something to work with before you go ahead and spend all that time producing 5 videos. And this should all be understood before you even start editing a single video in a contract, which leads me to my next point. Okay, so I'm not a lawyer and I'm not super savvy when it comes to contracts. Don't come to me for legal advice, but just in general, make sure everything is in writing. That's the least you can do. Check for any typos, or if anything seems unclear, bring it up with the brand. Be sure to discuss the scope of the project beforehand in writing. How many videos are you producing? How long are they going to be? How are you getting paid? When are you getting paid? What's the expected turnaround time once you've received the product in the mail? How many edits can they ask for? All that kind of stuff can be in a contract. Also, make it clear that they will be posting this UGC content that you're creating on their own socials, not yours. If you're producing B-roll footage for them that they want to use, like raw video clips that you created, you can charge for that as well. Just make it all clear. Okay, next piece of advice, it's okay to say no. Whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it a while and you've already been receiving a ton of offers, if something doesn't feel right, then go with your gut and say no. A big thing for me is I will never work with a brand that doesn't align with my own personal values. That goes for this YouTube channel as well. I'm never gonna promote a product that I personally feel weird about. Like, why would I do that? Remember, you are a content creator. You'll be making videos that will be on the internet forever. So make sure you're comfortable with what you're filming. Okay, my camera died, but I'm back just in time for this last piece of advice. So there's probably so much more advice that I can give you that'll probably pop into my head once this video is posted, but I'll round it off to an even 10 and leave you with this final piece of advice, and that is try to build long-term partnerships. It can get super tedious and time-consuming to chase after a bunch of small, one-time deals. Like I mentioned in the previous point, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work and back and forth that goes into every single deal. I saw a TikTok recently by UGC Creator, Creatively Maddie, and she mentioned that she basically works with 5 to 6 brands on a monthly basis, just providing content for them, and that pretty much pays her full-time income. But obviously, with that said, take any deal that comes your way that you are excited to work with, no matter how small. But definitely down the line, long-term partnerships are where it's at. Okay, so you got this. You totally have what it takes to become a UGC creator. Don't be afraid to jump out of your comfort zone and just go for it. Even if you have self-doubt, just go for it anyway. I literally created this YouTube channel on a whim because I like creating content, and now I get monthly AdSense checks from it. And I decided to start UGC a couple months ago just because I heard the word on TikTok, and now I already have a client. So anything's possible. Anyways, if you made it to this part of the video, then you might as well hit the like button at this point, subscribe to my channel, maybe even hit the thanks button down there. I honestly have no idea how it works, but I've always wanted someone to click on it. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments down below. Let me know if you have any other questions about UGC, any other topics you'd want me to cover, and maybe check out my other videos. Okay, that's enough self-promotion. Bye!